Hi, I'm Nan Simonson. I am a health and lifestyle coach with Lifestyle Medical, a family practice in Riverside, California. I've been with them for over 3 years, and my focus there is to help patients become their best by instituting the pillars of health as outlined by the College of Lifestyle Medicine. And becoming board certified in lifestyle medicine has become the hot ticket. We have doubled and doubled and doubled again since offering the opportunity to be board certified. And what's the point of lifestyle medicine? It's quite different than allopathic medicine, which is about treating symptoms with pills and procedures. Lifestyle medicine, in the beginning of anyone's affiliation with a doctor or a clinician of lifestyle medicine, will find something very different. That is, long conversations about lifestyle, because our point is to look at what can be changed in lifestyle. I have something to read to you, a couple of quotes. This first one: when it comes to health and well being, regular exercise is about as close to a magic potion as you can get. Who wrote that? Thich Nhat Hanh. He is a Vietnamese Buddhist priest. And then again, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will involve the patient in the proper use of food, fresh air, and exercise. Who wrote that? Thomas Edison. What do these two giants have in common? They understand the workings of the human body and the fact that without those bodies working, we have no future. Physiologically, we shut down, and we as a country now are shutting down at younger and younger ages. We're seeing children with type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is not something that somebody gets because, as it's been called in the past, sugar diabetes, because they've had too much sugar. Diabetes is much more, I'll call it simple and yet complicated than that. It's when our bodies, our cells, our muscles refuse to take in the insulin because of a blockage at the receptor sites. And what causes that blockage? Animal proteins, animal fats. So before I get into the pillars of lifestyle medicine, I want to introduce to you my book, Aging Powerfully. Accept your past, take control of your future. I read those quotes from my book, and I go on to say Dan Buettner, who is National Geographic's representative of the blue zones. He created a team that went around the world. It took 10 years to identify the longest living cultures, the longest living groups of people around the world, and came up with 5 blue zones, one of which is 15 minutes from my home, the Seventh day Adventist community in Loma Linda, California. The others are in Icaria, Greece, or Icaria, Greece, the Nicoyan Peninsula of Nicaragua, the Sardinian highlands of Italy, and Okinawa, Japan, where the longest living women in the world reside. Now, things have changed since he did that research, because the standard American diet, the Western diet, has encroached on these areas. And in the areas where they've encroached and had the most influence, the younger generations are getting the same diseases. So it's not genetic, those same diseases that the Western world have, those diseases of affluence, the diseases of overconsumption of the richest food on the planet, which is animal foods and their fats, processed foods, as well as the lifestyles of the West. So, what are the pillars of health? They are community. We can't live without others in our lives who love us and with whom we communicate and we share love. Resilience, getting enough sleep, getting enough relief from stress, that the stress that we are constantly bombarded with and by doesn't influence our endocrine system to the degree that it stops working, because when it stops working effectively, most of our body shuts down. Um, Resilience, community, nutrition. Nutrition means anything that goes in our body, including excesses of some of the things that shouldn't, like alcohol and tobacco and drugs. But nutrition, by and large, as outlined by the College of Lifestyle Medicine, is a whole food, plant centered, plant based, or plant exclusive dietary style. One that I adopted when I began, well, actually just began, or before I began working with Dr. Dysinger and his lifestyle medical practice. And that's 3.25 years ago. So it's been a while, going on a full 4 years. And I've never been healthier, nor has my husband. Things that we were diagnosed with, told that we must medicate or have medical procedures with, have all been mitigated by a whole foods, plant centered diet, because it's the richest diet in antioxidants, polyphenols, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, as opposed to a animal-based process that actually causes inflammation with every bite. There's so much research on this. You can look it up, and more and more and more public agencies are telling their populations to go plant-based or to introduce far more plants into their diet. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about movement. And I had an experience this weekend, and you'll find it on my channel, my Aging Powerfully with Nan Power Agers channel on Facebook. That is a 6-minute video of my impressions about movement based on an experience. I went up our local mountain. And for some of you, let's say living in Colorado, you'd laugh your head off if you saw our mountain. It goes up a little less than 1,000 feet, but there are 4 miles of pathways if we walk certain directions in certain ways. And my husband and I are up there every day, or we're riding an equal amount of time, about an hour, on paths not up the mountain, but around the back of the mountain, along the river bottom, and then to a park with a couple of lakes. We do that for exercise. And then every evening after dinner, and it's so often recommended that we move after a meal, because it actually lowers, the more you go, the further you go, the lower it brings your insulin levels down. And high insulin levels in your body cause a lot of problems in terms of inflammation. Well, we do it because it's a bond. We can walk and talk about the day. It feels good to be out there. We usually go after dark. In the summertime, that takes a long time, of course, in terms of waiting, but we don't want to go in the heat of the day, and so we go near dark. But now, this is the 22nd of February, 22. Now we go about 7:30, and it's about a half an hour walk. And we love that time of the day. But what are we doing? We're not exercising to maintain or lose weight. That's not a very good plan. It takes a lot of movement to work off even the least amount of calories from some of the least calorically dense foods. Although without movement, nothing in our body works very well. So according to Dan Buettner, he said, about the centenarians in the blue zone. Longevity all-stars don't run marathons or compete in triathlons. They don't transform themselves into weekend warriors on Saturday mornings. Instead, they engage in regular, low-intensity physical activity, often as part of their daily routine. Movement, living long on the go, bypassing conveniences for full involvement are what they do. Um, Movement, and I began to say what the inspiration was as it related to the mountain. It was on Sunday, later afternoon, half an hour before sundown, and we had had a busy weekend and didn't do what we usually do in terms of movement. And instead of just calling it a day or just checking out, I know that there are times I don't feel like doing it, but I have never, ever, ever said I'm sorry I did as it relates to our movement. And I'm going to call these actions movement rather than exercise. And I said, let's go up the mountain. Tim's always ready for it. So we put on our walking shoes and up we went. And an hour later we came back and sun had gone down and it was almost dark by the time we got back. It was such a delightful experience because, and I will let you watch that video. It's again only 6 minutes. And what I was enthralled by were the number of people, or was the number of people that were on the mountain for the sake of moving, for the sake of moving, socializing, enjoying fresh air, looking down at this beautiful city with all of its pretty lights and trees everywhere. Um, Maybe holding their own silence and clearing their mind from a weekend, getting ready for the next week, work week, whatever it was. There were hundreds of people up there, and I snapped some shots as I went along, looking for and portraying the joy on their face in that movement. And that's what I want to talk about today, considering that movement can be exercise and should be in terms of our wanting to raise our uh, heart rate, and we don't have to break a sweat, but we want there to be reason on a daily basis for our heart to pump a little bit more strongly, and that can be a very brisk walk for a while, to get our muscles moving, to get the lymphatic system going. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart does for blood. It depends on the constriction of muscles. Without moving, consider, and sometimes having a visual is really helpful. Consider a car that's been sitting for too long with all of its fluids stuck in its tubes and pipes and pistons or whatever cars have now. And what happens to that? Even a car, not a human body, even a car is going to get sludgy, and eventually it's going to be hard to get anything through those systems anymore. Movement is so important. We have to fall in love with it if we haven't been doing it on a regular basis. And the easiest way to do that is to begin one little step at a time. I did something interesting last year. At 70 years old, I took up running. How did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh, the local Mission Inn, our historic inn, had brought back its 5K, 10K, and half marathon race out of doors. And I thought, I'll do that. I'll sign up for a 10K. 10K is 6.2 miles. I had never run before. And you know how I learned to do it? I Googled, how do you run? And somebody said, look up the I don't know if it's an app or just something that is a .com, I don't remember, but couch to 5K or couch to 10K, and it just gave me some things to do. So I began by beginning, and I want to encourage you to begin moving by beginning, understanding that movement trumps motivation. movement trumps motivation. Just get out there, walk a half a block. I ran a half a block and thought I would die the first time. And then ran that again and thought, well, I'll stop at the end of that first marker, but went a little further. And then I'll stop and go to the last marker I've gone to and went a little further. That's what movement can do. The more you move, the more you fall in love with movement, the more antsy you feel about not moving, the less you want to sit long periods of time. A popular saying now is that sitting is the new smoking. And that, what that indicates is that our body isn't meant to be sitting for long periods of time any more than we were ever meant to be putting burnt tar from caustic chemicals from leaves that we should have left alone, i.e. tobacco leaves, and the nicotine that we were putting in our bodies. Well, by not moving, again, we're storing things in our body that should be moved out by a either healthy gastric system, because you're stimulating it by the movement, or sweated out, or moved through us with the food. In other words, those toxic things that come in on food. Although I try to always go for organic foods, that doesn't always work that way. And there are toxins that come in through our foods, and the faster we mobilize our gastric system, our gastrointestinal system, the faster those things go through us, and movement will do it every time. So I thought, I haven't done this before, but I'm going to take the easy way, and rather than coming up with new things to say, let me read a few things from my book as it relates to movement. Because you can go to a gym and you can work out on any one of their bits of equipment. Some people have stopped doing that since COVID, and not gotten back to the gym, or have never gone to the gym. But more and more people are starting to go back and swim and work out on weights and free weights or their machines, and taking classes. But if that's not your thing, you can do things on your own simply by deciding that you're going to, and setting yourself up for it. So sit less, move more. Say it to yourself all the time, starting at home. And I'll read. Move around the house while talking on the phone. Stand up and walk around the house during TV commercial breaks. Don't watch commercials. They'll lead you to believe that being sick is a popular thing. Those people taking those medications that in a very quick rain of words will tell you you're going to kill you. And then ask your doctor for this pill. They make it seem popular and normal to have these things that at one time our population never had. So don't watch the commercials. Just move away, or pre-record everything and then fast forward through them. Do household chores that involve standing, such as ironing, or while watching TV instead of sitting. Stand and read the mail, magazine articles, and emails at work. Stand and take a break from your computer every 30 minutes. Stand periodically during long meetings. When asked about it, explain why. This may encourage others to join you. Stand to greet visitors when talking on the phone. Drink more water so that you have to go for refills and to visit the restroom, thus moving more. Move items like trash cans, filing cabinet, printer, etc. out of reach to encourage you to stand to have to use them. Consider a standing desk and encourage stand while we talk meetings. Stand at the back of the room during presentations and do isometrics. Eat your lunch away from your desk, preferably a distance away from the office, and then walk there. Walk during part of lunch or during your breaks. Then when out and about, park your car a distance from the destination you're walking. Make it a habit to pull into a parking lot and park far from where you intend to go so that you get that walk in and do it briskly. Plan regular breaks during long car rides. Use public transportation in order to walk to and from the stops and the stations. Whenever possible, offer your seat to someone who needs it and enjoy standing. Purposeful exercise can be anything that you love doing on your own or with a group. Joining ball teams, getting back to tennis, playing with the kids out in the yard, spending time in a pool when the weather is right. All of those things are movement, and everything you do to move counts. It always will, it always does. And as you get older, you won't be able to move if you don't start now. I I won't break the confidence of this particular member of a group whom I was speaking with in I'll call it a skills group, one where we get together and we talk about how we are instituting our steps, the pillars of health, resilience, and that's the sleep and stress, community, um, nourishment, and movement. And she was talking about how she went to meet a grandson um, in New York, and in a fabulous old brownstone. And my son lived in New York for 3 years in some fabulous brownstones. The thing about them, though, is that they didn't have elevators. Most of them didn't, and each one of them could take them up 2 or 3 or 4 flights of stairs in order to get to their place, which can be a bit of a challenge when you have groceries and you're carrying things up. But her grandson was at the 5th floor, and he worried about her visiting him because, after all, she was in her 80s. You know what she did? Anyway, she's a feisty thing. She is whole food, plant based, determined. She doesn't deviate at all. She knows that by nourishing herself, she'll stay younger, her body will stay stronger, immunity will be much more greatly protected, and she is full of vim and vigor. She swims every day, goes to the gym, she's fit. And so when she went to her grandson's, not only was she able to go up those stairs, not at his rate of 2 and 3 stairs at a time, but she did just fine going up there. Then they walked around the park, and she was able to do that. Then they came back and went right back up again. He was so proud of her. He's a medical student. What do you think he's going to walk away from or with, in terms of not only his admiration of her, but his determination to help other people understand that they can live like that as well? That's one of the best ways that I can point to the value of movement. If she, in her 80s, almost mid 80s, hadn't continued to move, hadn't chosen to eat well, hadn't focused on relieving stress and getting sleep and keeping community strong, keeping her body working in all ways, if she hadn't done that, she could have missed out on all of this with her grandson, and she could have missed out on maybe the last 10 to 15 years, because quite frankly, that's what is happening with most Americans. They are getting sick in their 50s and 60s, and it's a downhill slog from there of pills and procedures, all leading to more pills and procedures. Do yourself a favor, and I'll end with this. I had a note, and there was something else I wanted to say to you. Fall in love with anything that you can think of that you would like to do that entails movement. Take up boxing, go bike riding, walk in places that you can be surrounded by beauty. That's why I love our mountain, and I'm up there all the time. Walk around a park, walk in your neighborhood and look at the different landscapes and the homes and the life that's going on around you. Go to a dog park and walk around it again and again with your own dog, or just watching those dogs pounce and wag and communicate with each other. That's called community, and they know how important it is. They're pack animals. Well, we are tribal as well. Um, get ready for your exercise. Put your shoes out in the morning. Put your walking clothes out in the morning. If you don't like the way you look when you go out because you're not set for this, get yourself some cute things. Go to Marshall's where you can get things for a third of the price in many cases, and get some cute tops and some skirts or some walking pants, and put them out. Put the shoes out. Have the jackets for this cold weather. We haven't missed one day, not because of rain or because of weather, because we went out anyway. Yeah, maybe missed a day, but I can't think that we did. We just bundle up and go. And it's not because we're superstars. I'm 71. My husband is a year and a half behind that. We're old people. But we're not going to throw in the towel and act that way until we have to. We are going to square the curve, and I invite you to do the same. Live, 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 live. Boom. Goodbye. That was the last day on earth, as opposed to slog, 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 slog. Boy, I'm not having any fun. I don't see any point of staying with this. We don't have to do that. All right, get yourself ready, get motivated, find purpose in the movement, enjoy it, start dancing when you stand, and fall in love with what so many of us love to do, and that is to move our bodies. I hope you're having a great day. I know I am. Thank you for the time that you've given me, and see you soon. And remember, because I am on YouTube and Facebook, a thumbs up and a subscribe um, uh, response makes a difference, because it makes us and this movement of lifestyle as medicine and aging with power, it makes this movement much more readily available. It puts us up when people start inquiring. Bye, everyone.